Hello everyone, and welcome to this eye-opening video where we'll explore a topic that many older travelers either overlook or underestimate: the hidden challenges and potential dangers of traveling after the age of 70. If you've ever found yourself wondering whether those golden years getaways are actually as fun, relaxing, and fulfilling as they're often cracked up to be, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of why, in many cases, your dream vacation might not be the carefree adventure you envisioned. And more importantly, how to make it safer and more rewarding if you still decide to go. Have you noticed that your body doesn't rebound from fatigue the way it once did? Do you sometimes worry about what might happen if you suddenly felt ill far from home? Or perhaps you're concerned about all the financial what-ifs that can arise during a lengthy trip abroad. These are not trivial points, and ignoring them can make the difference between a smooth, memorable trip and a nightmare scenario. In this discussion, I want to highlight several critical reasons why traveling beyond 70 requires a dramatically different approach compared to traveling in your 40s or 50s. I'm not here to discourage anyone or claim that older adults must stay put at home. However, I do believe that being well-informed is the best way to travel safely and comfortably without falling prey to stress, financial traps, or health disasters. Let's begin with one of the most significant concerns that affects all older travelers, namely the question of medical readiness and access to reliable healthcare abroad. When was the last time you had a thorough checkup? Do you know how your heart responds to changes in altitude or humidity? Have you had your blood pressure and cholesterol levels tested recently? These are not just passing concerns for individuals in their 70s. Our bodies become more susceptible to heart issues, strokes, or sudden spikes in blood pressure when under the strain of travel-related stress. One of the worst-case scenarios is finding yourself on a plane, mid-flight, experiencing a medical episode. At 30,000 feet, medical intervention is extraordinarily limited, especially if you require urgent attention. Even if you're lucky enough to have a trained medical professional on board, they might not have access to all the resources they need. This isn't meant to frighten you, but to underline a critical point. Good travel preparation includes a full medical evaluation, an updated list of your prescriptions, and an understanding of how your body might respond to stress. If you're on daily medication for chronic conditions, such as diabetes or hypertension, you absolutely need to plan out how to manage these conditions during flights, layovers, and extended tours. But let's move to an equally pressing issue: travel fatigue, jet lag, and the enormous physical toll that long-haul journeys can place on a body that's not as resilient as it used to be. Many older adults plan their trip schedules the way they did in younger years, stuffing in back-to-back tours, rushing from one city to another, and expecting to function on minimal sleep. The reality is our bodies slow down over time. Recovery isn't immediate, and a single day of intense activity can require 2 or more days of downtime to bounce back. I remember speaking with a couple who planned a 10-day trip across Europe with 6 different stops. They were so excited about the idea of seeing multiple countries in one sweep that they never considered the practical side: airport lines, train rides, constant hotel check-ins and check-outs, unfamiliar foods, and disrupted sleep schedules. By day 4, they were exhausted. What started as a romantic exploration devolved into constant naps, irritability, and an overarching sense of stress. They came home feeling disappointed and physically drained, struggling for weeks to recover their usual energy levels. So here's a vital tip. If you are determined to see several destinations, pace yourself. Consider focusing on fewer places, but spending more time in each. This allows you to immerse in the culture without suffering from travel whiplash. Also, schedule breaks, yes, actual recovery days, where you do nothing more than relax, read a book, or sip tea in a local cafe. It might seem like wasted time when you're traveling, but trust me, your body will thank you, and the overall experience will be far more satisfying. Let's address another concerning factor: exposure to foreign bacteria, viruses, and the overall vulnerability of the immune system. If there's one thing the global pandemic taught us, it's that health threats can pop up anywhere, at any time, often when you least expect them. Airports, airplanes, train stations, cruise ships — these environments are breeding grounds for germs. Younger travelers might shrug off a minor cold or a mild stomach bug, but in your 70s, a simple virus can develop into a serious respiratory infection or a weeks-long struggle with complications. I'm not saying you have to lock yourself away, but it's crucial to adopt strict hygiene practices. Bring hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes for airplane tray tables and armrests, and don't underestimate the power of wearing a mask in crowded areas if that makes you more comfortable. Also, be very cautious with local water supplies when traveling abroad. Even if your destination's tap water is considered safe by local standards, your digestive system might not be used to their particular bacterial flora. Stick to bottled water, watch what you eat, and ensure foods are fully cooked. And here's a particularly important piece of advice. Consult your doctor about vaccines or prophylactic medications recommended for the region you're visiting. Some destinations may pose a risk of specific diseases, and while younger travelers might experience mild symptoms, an older adult's body could be hit much harder. It's always better to be safe than sorry, especially if you intend to travel for an extended period or go off the beaten path. Next, let's discuss physical injuries, particularly the risk of slips, trips, and falls. Balance and bone density can decline as we age. Meanwhile, the new environments in which you might find yourself, whether ancient ruins with uneven pathways, cobblestone streets, or hotels with slippery bathroom tiles, can be accident-prone. In your younger days, sprained ankle might have been a minor setback. Now, a fractured hip can lead to permanent mobility challenges or a lengthy, costly hospital stay. Think about the basic logistical details before you embark on your trip. Does your accommodation have many stairs? Is there an elevator? Is the lighting in the corridors sufficiently bright? Is the area known for uneven sidewalks or frequent rain that could lead to slippery surfaces? Even if the location is breathtaking, you should weigh whether you can comfortably and safely navigate it. If you use mobility aids like a cane, walker, or wheelchair, check in advance how accessible the infrastructure is. Many older buildings lack ramps or elevators, and certain tourist attractions require a lot of stair climbing. Let me underscore something that often gets overlooked: financial pitfalls related to travel. No matter how healthy you feel, there's always the chance of needing emergency medical care or having to cut your trip short. Without proper travel insurance, these events can empty your wallet. And not all travel insurance policies are equal. Some won't fully cover pre-existing conditions, while others have age limits or hidden exclusions. Moreover, older travelers can be prime targets for scammers, especially in regions where tourism is a big industry. These scams can range from dishonest taxi drivers inflating fares to elaborate fraud involving fake travel agencies or hotels that don't exist. The bottom line is, you should research thoroughly, read reviews from multiple reputable sources, and never pay for a trip package that sounds too good to be true. If it feels suspiciously cheap, there's usually a catch. Now, if this is starting to sound like a laundry list of reasons never to set foot outside your home again, take heart. Traveling can remain a wonderful experience, an opportunity to bond with friends, family, or even to discover new passions in life. The key is caution, planning, and realism. There's nothing wrong with admitting that your body no longer tolerates a packed schedule of dawn to midnight activities. In fact, tailoring the trip to your pace can transform the experience from a rushed sightseeing slog into a relaxing, culturally rich adventure. One way to maintain that sense of excitement without overtaxing yourself is to consider guided tours designed for older adults. Many travel companies now specialize in senior-friendly packages that schedule plenty of rest, provide accessible transportation, and ensure medical personnel are available if needed. This approach can help you feel secure and supported, letting you focus on enjoying your journey instead of constantly worrying about potential mishaps. Let's pause here for a moment. I want to share a story about Robert, a 72-year-old man who decided to visit his daughter in another country. He was generally healthy, but had some mobility limitations due to arthritis. Rather than booking the cheapest flight with several layovers, Robert invested in a more direct flight that cost a bit more, but offered greater comfort and shorter overall travel time. He also arranged for wheelchair assistance in the airport, something he had never considered necessary before. Upon arrival, he took a few days to rest, adjust to the local climate, and get over mild jet lag before planning any sightseeing. The result: he spent quality time with his family, saw local landmarks at a gentle pace, and returned home feeling positive and energized. The difference between Robert's trip and the average attempt to push yourself like you're 25 years old again scenario was night and day. Sometimes investing in comfort and support not only preserves your health, but also ensures you can create meaningful, happy memories, rather than returning home more tired than you were before you left. Another area that should be addressed is the mental and emotional load of traveling. Often older travelers focus on the physical aspects. Can I walk that far? Will my knees hold up? And overlook the emotional strain. Navigating through unfamiliar environments, dealing with language barriers, keeping track of passports and valuables, and staying vigilant against scams can become stressful. Stress, in turn, can affect blood pressure, sleep quality, and overall well-being. Some people find group travel or traveling with a companion who can share the responsibilities more comforting. It alleviates some of the burden of planning, translating, and problem-solving. If you have a friend, partner, or adult child willing to accompany you, that shared experience can make for wonderful bonding. However, if you prefer solo travel, consider shorter trips or destinations where you speak the language or feel comfortable with the local culture. The less time you spend in a state of anxiety, the more you can truly absorb and appreciate your surroundings. Now let's talk about practical strategies to mitigate many of the risks mentioned. First, always schedule a visit to your healthcare provider well in advance. Ask them whether you're fit to fly, check that all your immunizations are up to date, and request extra prescriptions in case you face travel delays. Bring your medications in their original bottles to avoid confusion at airport security. If possible, carry a document listing your medical conditions and medications in the language of the country you're visiting, or at least in English if traveling internationally. Second, pick your destination wisely. While the world is vast and tempting, not all places are equally suited for seniors with particular health or mobility concerns. Research the climate. Is it extremely hot, cold, or humid? How is the altitude? Does the city have efficient public transportation? Is your accommodation in the heart of a busy, noisy area, or is it located near the services you need? These considerations might seem simple, but ignoring them can lead to relentless discomfort and frustration. Third, always read the fine print on travel insurance. If you've had any surgeries, chronic illnesses, or significant health episodes in the past, check whether you're covered if any of these conditions flare up during your trip. Look for coverage that includes emergency medical evacuation, as that alone can cost tens of thousands of dollars if you need to be flown to a better equipped hospital. Also consider the potential benefit of trip interruption coverage. If something forces you to head home early, like a family emergency or an unexpected personal health crisis, this coverage can reimburse you for a portion of your unused trip costs. It's a layer of financial security that helps you avoid feeling pressured to continue traveling under difficult circumstances just because you've already paid. Let me address a subtle but important aspect: social and cultural differences. Depending on where you go, attitudes toward older adults can vary. In some cultures, seniors are highly respected, and you might find people eager to assist you. In others, you might face impatience or lack of accessible amenities. Learning about local customs, norms, and languages can help you avoid miscommunication or uncomfortable situations. Something as simple as learning a few polite phrases in the local language can open doors and earn you goodwill, which might come in handy if you need a favor or assistance. We also can't skip the discussion of budgeting. One hidden danger of traveling after 70 is the assumption that you can replicate your younger travel style on the same budget. Prices for medical coverage, comfortable accommodations, direct flights, or easy access tours can be higher than you'd expect. Make sure you set aside extra funds for emergencies. You don't want to be stuck in a foreign country, needing medical attention or last-minute lodging without enough resources. And here's a critical note about technology. While it can be a tremendous boon, translation apps, GPS navigation, online booking, it can also be a vulnerability for older travelers less familiar with digital platforms. Cybercriminals often target travelers who are hastily logging into public Wi-Fi networks or responding to suspicious emails. If you're not especially tech-savvy, consider traveling with a family member who is, or at least educate yourself about basic digital safety practices. When possible, rely on cellular data or VPN-secure connections. Avoid internet cafes for sensitive tasks like banking or checking personal email. At this point, you might be thinking, this is too much to handle. Or perhaps you're thinking, I never realized how many factors I need to consider. Remember, a successful trip at this stage of life is entirely feasible, but it hinges on awareness and preparation. If anything, it can be even more enjoyable precisely because you'll be traveling with greater mindfulness. Instead of racing from one tourist attraction to another, you can slow down, savor the local culture, take a leisurely afternoon in a park or museum, and truly appreciate every moment. Many seniors find that they prefer to travel during the off-season for popular destinations, both to avoid large crowds and to find better deals. Traveling off-peak can also reduce stress as you're not battling huge lines or sweltering heat in peak summer months. This approach complements a gentler travel style. Another tip is to connect with local senior groups or expatriate communities if you plan an extended stay. They often know the best clinics, reliable drivers, recommended stores, or restaurants that offer easily digestible meals. Engaging with a community abroad can add a layer of safety too, because someone knows you're there and might notice if you don't show up to a scheduled meetup, for instance. Let's shift gears and look at some lesser discussed aspects of traveling after 70, like how major life changes, such as losing a spouse or retirement, can affect your approach to travel. Sometimes the motivation to travel intensifies as we suddenly feel the urgency to see places we always dreamed about. While this can be a powerful motivator, it can also cloud our judgment. It's wise to balance that sense of adventure with an honest appraisal of your physical and emotional readiness. Grief, depression, or other emotional burdens might be triggered by stressful conditions abroad, far from your support network. For some older adults, the idea of solo travel is both thrilling and terrifying. Traveling alone can grant you the freedom to set your own schedule, explore your personal interests, and truly rediscover yourself. But it does come with extra risks if something goes wrong. If you're set on traveling alone, consider starting with shorter trips closer to home. Building your confidence. Make sure someone knows your itinerary and check in regularly via phone or messaging apps. Another emotional pitfall to watch for is the gap between expectation and reality. Social media can portray travel as an endless parade of perfect sunsets and gourmet meals. When you arrive, you might discover that your accommodations are modest, the weather is unpredictable, and crowds are overwhelming. At 70 plus, disappointment can be more disheartening than it was in youth, especially if you've invested time, money, and hope into the journey. That's why realistic planning, managing your own expectations, and focusing on the personal, meaningful experiences you want, rather than Instagram-worthy snapshots, are key to a fulfilling trip. As we head toward the end of this extensive exploration, I want to emphasize that everything mentioned here is meant to empower, not frighten. The point is to highlight the hidden stumbling blocks that catch many older travelers off guard. If you address these head-on by planning meticulously, asking tough questions, and making decisions that prioritize your well-being, there's no reason you can't continue exploring the globe well into your 70s, 80s, or even 90s. So let's recap some main action items. Get a thorough medical checkup and consult with healthcare professionals about any special precautions for your trip. If you take prescription medications, pack more than you think you'll need and keep them in your carry-on luggage. Adopt a realistic itinerary that includes plenty of downtime and doesn't force you into punishing schedules. Practice rigorous hygiene, consider masks in crowded places, and be cautious about water and food sources. Check accessibility options wherever you go, and don't underestimate the risk of falls or injuries. Research travel insurance thoroughly, ensuring it covers your needs, especially pre-existing conditions and emergency evacuations. Sudfrun, prepare for possible scams by booking through reputable sources, and always keep an eye on your belongings and finances. Look at senior-friendly tours or consider traveling with a companion if possible. Sveiki Redurum, manage expectations and prioritize the quality of your experience over the quantity of sights you see. Above all, remind yourself that traveling at this stage in life is about savoring the moments, not sprinting through them. Think of it like this. You've earned these years, and you deserve to enjoy them in a way that's safe and fulfilling. That might mean smaller, more focused trips, or it might mean a big bucket list journey with plenty of planning. Either way, being well prepared can help you avoid turning a potentially joyous trip into a stressful ordeal. I want to thank you for watching or listening this far. It shows that you're truly dedicated to ensuring your travels are both memorable and safe. If you found this information valuable, share it with friends or family members who might also be considering a trip. And remember, traveling after 70 doesn't have to be a gamble. With the right approach, it can be one of the most rewarding things you do in your later years. Let's add one more note for those who may be worried that these precautions are too restrictive. Keep in mind that flexibility is key. You might choose to stay in a country a bit longer if you need additional time to rest. Or you can opt for shorter, localized trips rather than attempting a whirlwind tour of multiple nations at once. By respecting your body's signals and pacing yourself, you'll find that traveling in later life can be an enriching and deeply personal journey, full of wonder and discovery without neglecting the very real aspects of health and safety. After all, the true essence of travel lies in experiencing new perspectives, meeting new people, and embracing the world with curiosity and gratitude. Age might slow you down, but it can also grant you the patience and insight to appreciate life's subtler details.